Look at this. I will drag and drop this doc here. Then I will click on upload and summarize. And great, we can copy this and use it. Don't have time to read PDFs. Don't have time to talk to teams. Tired of reading long PDFs? Today we are building an app to fix that. This is a Vite and React app running inside Power Apps. It is AI-powered application. It uses an Azure function to read the PDF, extract the text, and then new AI builder with GPT-4.1 Mini to summarize it. All connected with Power Automate. Don't want to mess with cloud right away? No problem. We are going to build and test this completely locally first. The goal, upload a doc, get a summary, and paste it into Teams or an email. Simply, powerful, and incredibly useful. No fluff, let's build it.
Here on my desktop, I'm going to create a new folder. I will call it AI Document Summarizer. I will drag and drop it just in my Visual Studio Code window. Now here I need to click on Terminal and New Terminal. So for our application, we are going to use Vite. Vite is a tool and development server that makes working with frameworks like React, Vue much faster. And you can click Get Started here and learn so much about this very fast build tool. So here I'm going to copy this, go back to the terminal and paste it just here. And because I want Vite project to be initialized here in this folder, just here, I will hit space, then dot. This means that I want all Vite folders and files to be created here inside this folder. So I will hit enter. It asks if I want to rename it AI Document Summarizer, and I will accept this. Then it asks me which framework. I will pick React, then which variant. Of course, we are going to use TypeScript. And now the first thing to do when you initialize your Vite project, you click on package.json. What is this package.json? This file shows us all the project metadata, its name, its the type, the scripts, and the dependency. And I'm going to update this version because our Fluent UI requires that React be of version 18. And to avoid any conflict between packages while installing them, I should update this 8 and this also 2, this 0, and also again same thing here. And here the same thing for types for React and types for React DOM. I will change them with this 2 version. Okay, and with that we are going to run this command npm install, and this npm is a Node.js packages manager. What is Node.js?
What we need to run our JavaScript code without browser. So it is JavaScript runtime. You can install it using your CLI, whether you have Linux or Windows. You can also download it. You can install it using CLI according to your operating system. Linux, Bash, Windows, PowerShell, and Docker, then npm, and here is the script for each operating system. You can also download it using pre-built Node.js, then you install it on your machine. Back to our application.
Then here I will hit enter. This will install all these packages, okay?
Packages get installed. Let us go through these files and folders one by one. vite.config.ts. This file allows us to configure the build process, such as adding plugins, configuring server settings. It's optional for basic projects, but it is so useful when you want an advanced customization. Then TypeScript config.node. Then TypeScript config.node.json. This is extra TypeScript config helps Vite and Node understand our setup. Then TypeScript config.json. This defines how TypeScript checks and compiles our code. Package.json lists our project metadata like its name, the scripts, and the dependency for development and for production. Then here, package log.json, this logs dependencies, versions, so installs are consistent everywhere. If one of your friends try to install your application on his machine, it's gonna check and make sure that all the packages installed on his machine are the same. Then it comes index.html. This is HTML file where Vite injects our React app. Minimal, powerful. It takes this div by its ID root. Then gitignore. This gitignore is for telling Git what files and folder to ignore, like node model here. We don't need to push it to GitHub. Open this source. Inside this folder, our React TypeScript code lives here. This is where the magic happens. We have a set folder where we store. We have a set folder here where images and fonts and styles that our app imports directly. We don't need to compile that. The app TypeScript, our main React component, the heart of our UI. Here we combining here where we are going to combine all the components that we are going to create. This app is called by Vite inside main.tsx file. And as you can see here, Vite fetching div with ID root, and just then it renders the app inside that HTML div with ID root. And this Vite is TypeScript definition that lets us use Vite features without errors. And here at the we find node modules. These node modules contains all the npm packages. Don't touch it. npm manages it. Since all the packages are now installed, I'm going to spin up the Vite server so I can see the application on the browser. What I'm going to do is typing in the terminal npm run dev. This will run this script, okay? And the terminal tells me that the application is running on this port. And here is the application is running. And this is React on Vite server. So one of the most important thing, if you can see this is incrementing, that is because we have this useState hook here. What does this do? This useState is from React and it returns an array. This is an array destruction. It returns an array. Then we need only the first element and the second element. The first element is a variable. The second element is a function that updates this variable. So when we click on this button here, it calls the function, then it takes the previous value for this count as parameter, then in there it adds 1 for each previous value, and that is why we have this incrementing here. And that feature in React is so powerful due to this useState hook that is coming from React. There is also another feature that is so important. That is what we call components and props. Let me delete all of this and I will run this command RAFCE, and this will spin up this component. As you can see, it's an row function. And here, let me just type h1 hello world. Save it, and we will see once we save this, our application will display hello world. Let me now, just above this application, run again the same command. This will spin up another component and row function, but this time I will call it component 1. I don't need this to be repeated. Then I will use this component just inside app component. So to do that, I will open angle brackets and type component, then close this angle bracket. If I save, nothing will appear here because we don't have anything here. So I'm going to just in here, in there I will type another h2 and here component 1. We'll save this and lock. And you can add as long as you want. This is one of the strongest feature in React. And there is something so important in React, which is props. It is so powerful. Here, if we type name, for example, this is a props. And here I will give it this value. Here, Mohamed-Lamin. It also can be just a simple string. But here we are going to destructure this object, the props. So we are going to get only the name. And because of TypeScript, we will give it for now any as type any. And here, and because of TypeScript, we are going to give it any for now. Here, I'm going to type my name is, and then open curly brackets, and in there I will insert name parameter. Then I will save. As you can see, my name is Mohamed-Lamin. This is a props. With that, and with no further ado, let us start building our application and snip it up on Power SDK server. So I will remove all of this, then I will run this command and this will spin up this row function. Inside this div, I will type h1 and in there I will also type AI customizer, AI document summarizer. I will save this and my app is displaying this text. Why I can run this RAFC? Because I have this plugin here. You go to plugins, you look for, you type React, and you will find this one, ES7 plus React Redux, and it is so useful for your development. Now let us go back. Now we come back to our development. Now we come back, and here we are going to start configuring our Power SDK server. Now I will stop this server, Vite server that is running locally, and now I'm going to start configuring my Power SDK server. So to configure your Power SDK server, there is a repository on GitHub published by Microsoft. It is not yet published to NPM registry. So if you want to know about this, here is the repository. here is the repo on GitHub. You can scroll down and you will find how to create an app from scratch. When you click on this, you will find all the steps to follow in order to have your project configured on your local machine. But before doing that, on your Power Platform Admin Center, you need to go to your environments, then the environment on which you want to run the application, Code Apps application. Then you click on these three dots, then settings, then product, then features. Make sure that this is enabled. Make sure that Power Apps, Code Apps is enabled. Once I do that, I come back to my terminal and start the configuration. So the first thing to do is to install types for Node.js. npm I, this is just a short way to write install, then save dev, and then types /node. Then you hit enter. This package is used for Node.js. This is installed for TypeScript for Node.js because TypeScript needs to know what Node does and what React does. The second thing, I need to configure Vite. I need to configure Vite server to run on 3000 for Power SDK server. So all of this I will delete, then I will paste this here. Just inside this function, we edited the object that it takes as parameter. We added this property and this one. And I should save this. And here, as you can see, TypeScript config.node.json is complaining because we haven't yet installed React DOM for definition for TypeScript. So here I will run this command npm install --save dev types react DOM, then the version 18.2.18 and hit enter. This will install this package and it stopped complaining now. The next thing we are going to do is creating Power SDK server provider. For that, I'm going to create this file. I will call it Power Provider as mentioned in the documentation, TypeScript. And now here we are going to initialize the provider. And the first thing is we are grabbing this initialize from the SDK. And then we are going to use the hook use effect and the type React node from React. Then we have the props for our provider. When the application starts, it's gonna create this arrow function. If it succeeds, it return initiate up. Okay, then it return this fragment, and this fragment is, instead of using div, we can use it, and inside which we can add whatever JSX we want, and in this case all the children inside. But as you can see, the file is complaining because we don't have this SDK installed in our Node module. So we are going to install it by using npm the package manager for Node.js. So npm install --save dev. Then I get the command from the documentation, then I will hit enter. As you can see, it's always on GitHub, so it's not yet published to npm registry. I will hit enter, and this will install Power SDK in our project. Now, once it's installed, it will stop complaining. Then I will save this. Now I'm going to open main TSX. Okay. And inside this main, I should wrap my application with Power Provider. So here I will type Power Provider. That is it. And I will save this. We need another provider, which is the provider for Fluent UI. So we are going to install Fluent UI. So just here, I will clear my terminal. Then here we are going to type npm install, then Fluent UI React components and Fluent UI React icons. Then I will hit enter. Once it is installed, I can call Fluent provider in main. Here I need to import Fluent provider. You can't just keep pressing Control, then you hit space key. This will suggest for you the component to import. When you click on it, it's gonna be imported here and it will stop complaining. You can write this line, then it will stop complaining too. And I will save this. The next thing we need to do is to initialize our application on Power Apps environment. So to do that, we need to make sure that we are connected against PAC CLI, Power Platform CLI, to our Power Platform environment. So if I type PAC auth list, this will print all the environments I have on my tenant for Power Platform. And I can pick one of them, and I can pick one of them. But if you are not connected to the right environment, you can just type back auth create and your environment URL. Or you can also type path back auth select, then the index of the environment you have, or select URL. But because I am already connected against PAC CLI to my environment on Power Platform, I can now initialize my application. So I will type back code init, which means initialize, then dash dash display name, then my name, my application name. So AI document summarizer. Then I will hit enter. This will generate a file for my application. This file will be called power.config.json, this one. And here we will find a JSON object. Okay, inside this JSON object, we have a property environment ID with the value, the environment ID we are connected to. Then we have other things, and when we connect to a data source, the data source will be mentioned here. But for today, we are not going to any data source. With that, now we can start our Power SDK server. So let me clean this. But before doing that, we have something in package.json to edit. Here in the scripts, when we type npm run div, this will run Vite server only. But I want to run Vite server, also Power SDK server. So to do that, in addition to this Vite, here I'm going to write start back Power Platform CLI code run and Vite. So this will start Power SDK server, and this will start Vite server. Now I will save this. Then I will type npm run dev. This is Power SDK server. We are going to receive it on localhost, so we can see our application running on localhost. This is the URL I should go to see my application running. And here I will paste it in here. Then, as you can see now, my application is running on my local mesh. Okay. Now the first thing I will do is to create a component called summarizer, then import it to my application. So here I will create a new file called summarizer, type tsx, and here I will run this command to get the raw function and inside here I will type summarizer, and here I will type summarizer, and then save it. If you can see this export default, this is what allows me to import it to my application here. And instead of this, I will type, and it's imported here. If I save this now, as you can see, it's imported to my application. So I will go back to summarizer component and start building this component. Whatever we do here, and when we save, it's gonna display it here. Okay, so let us do that. Here I will start by importing things, hooks from React, then some component for styling from Fluent UI. From React, I will import useState for state management, use call back to prevent any unnecessary call for functions that we pass as props to the component, then use ref to access directly to DOM elements. Here for our styles, I will import from Fluent UI make styles, then shorthands, tokens, button, spinner, card header, then card preview, body 1, yes, subtitle 1, also message bar, then message bar body, then message bar title, then link, and merge classes. We are going to see how useful all of these components are in a little bit. Let me just finish importing the other icons from Fluent UI, then we are going to start using them. Here I'm going to import a row up load 24 regular, then document PDF 24 regular, then document 24 regular, then check mark circle 24 filled, then dismiss 24 regular, and error circle 24 filled. The first thing I'm going to do is this variable here for our styles using the function we grabbed from Fluent UI, use styles, and then I will set it to make styles, then in there will be an object. I will keep it empty for now. Here I will start by state management. The first thing to do here is to create a variable for our styles. We have initialized styles here, but we need to have it inside component. So here const styles, and here I will set it to use styles I have just created. Great. Now management, I will manage the state. I need to create a variable for the selected file, then set selected file as convention, use state, then it take file or null, and for now it's null. Okay, and I need to also initialize a variable for status, const here status set status, and that comes from useState, and it takes status as parameter. And this status, I need to initialize it here, and this status type needs to be initialized at the top before the component. So here type status equal idle or uploading or processing or success or error. The default variable will be idle. Also, I need a variable for summary, set summary equal useState, then it's an empty string. Okay, I need also a variable for error message, this to store the error message. and it's also I need also a variable for processing message, then set processing message state, and it's also an empty string. I need also another variable for is drag active or not. When it's active, the drag, if I drag and drop, if I drag something here, is it active or not? I should specify if it is active or not. That is why I need that variable and the function to manage its state. So here is drag active, set drag active, use state. It's a boolean. It's false by default, and it is a boolean. So the last one is file input ref. That means if it is the input, this is to access the file input element. Okay, use ref null and of type, and it is of type HTML element, input element. Great. We need some logic. Now I need a function to handle the reset of all of these variables. This status, this summary, this error message, processing, these are the variables, and these are the functions that manage their status. Okay? Here the function that will handle the reset, I will call it handle reset, open brackets, and it is a row function. Within there, I will call their function to reset them. Okay, to access this variable, we should pass through its function. So here, set selected file to null, then set status to idle, then set summary empty string, then set error message to empty string, also set processing to empty. Here I need a function to handle file selection. Okay, here we'll type constant handle file, call it to file select, then equal, I will use React hook, use callback that I imported here. Okay, then open brackets, and in there it will take a parameter which is a callback function, another brackets, and we will take files as parameter of type file list or null, then open curly brackets. In there I'm going to check if files exist and the array is not empty, length is not empty, then we will create a variable file, store that file's first file, then I will create a variable in which I will store the first element in the array, then another check for the type, if for the type file type equal application PDF or file type is application, then the .open XML format, office document, WordPress equal to this, then we will set selected file will be file. Now the variable, we store this variable in selected file variable, this one, then set error message to empty string, set status idle, and if this not true, else we are set error message to this invalid file type. Please upload a PDF or Word document. Then we set status to error. It says it's not signable to because here we have 3R letter. So we continue, set selected file to null, and that is it. We have used callback complaining because the next function is handle summarize. Handle summarize. This is the function where we are going to call Azure function and our AI builder. So here handle summarize equal async and row function. Here if no file is selected file is empty, return means do nothing, okay? Else it will set state user to uploading, then set error message to empty string, and then set summary to empty string. Then here we will have try and catch block. Here we will call Azure function and AI builder, and here we will throw an error if no response is coming back. So here the error of type any, and here set error message, or just say unknown error occurred, and set state use to error. Save this for now. We will come back later to call the API of Azure function. Here I need three functions. First one is handle drag enter. We take drag enter React drag event, HTML div element, and row function. And inside here I will prevent default, so it's not gonna be load the browser, stop propagation, and set is drag active to true. Okay, I need two other functions like this one, but this one will be called leave, handle drag leave, and the third one is handle drop. But here set is drag active false because we are leaving, and also drop false because it's dropped. I need also this function. I need this function to render file icon, const render file icon, and a row function. And here if no file is selected, then I want to return null, else return selected file type equal application PDF, else document. Now here I will make a condition, okay? Return if selected file dot type, if the type of the file equal to application PDF, then return this icon, document PDF 24 regular. We imported it, so here I need to open angle bracket, then I will close the angle bracket, but there is props for this icon. Class name should be, for now we have not yet created our styles. For now we will leave it empty, else it will return document 24 regular for Word, class name, and it's gonna be empty because we don't yet implemented. In React you should write class name, not only class. Now here I will create the logic function. Const render content gonna be an row function, and here I will remove all of this. Then I will use this fragment element in React, and inside this fragment element we can render whatever we want of GSA. So here I will render this function, render content function. I will call it. So whatever we type here, whatever this function returns, it's gonna be rendered in summarize component at the end. So let us implement render function. Well, render function will within render content function, we will use switch block, okay? Then based on state use variable, there will be cases, okay? The first case if it's equal to uploading, the second case if it is processing, and if it is processing, we want to return a div inside which will be spinner to show that it is processing. We imported that from Fluent UI. So this spinner will have size huge, then label will be processing message. We imported this also. If the state use equals success, then I want to return a div. Inside this div, we will have card. Inside this card, we will have card header. Inside this card header, we will have this card will have a class name. This div will have class name, and this also will have class name. This card will have class name, and this header will have image equal this image. I will open angle brackets, check marker, fill, then style for this check marker will be set. Then style for this check marker will be set to color equal tokens color palette green for ground 1. And here we don't have a closed card header because it's a self-closed component in Fluent UI. I will now add the header props subtitle 1 inside summary generated successfully. Then we have description for the header, and it will use body 1 inside which selected file, if it exists, we will show its name. That is what this exclamation point means. Okay, now this is for the card header. Now the card preview we will have body 1. Side body 1 we will have the variable summary value. That is for the card, and then just under the card we will have button. This button has props appearance primary, then on click, of course, we are going to use handle reset to reset all the variable. And here we will have summarize another document. This is the case success. Now for the case error, we return a div. It has class name. This div will have, of course, message component from Fluent UI. Inside this, its props is intent error. Inside this message bar, we will have message bar body. Okay, this message bar body will have message bar title, and the value is error circle 24 filled icon itself closed component, then error string. Then just when we have an error, we will have a button. This button, its props on click, we will pass to it handle reset, of course, start over, and here we'll type try again. So as you can see, I make an error here, so it's button like that. If the case idle, of course, should be the default, we will return a div with class name. We have not yet set up the styles, so we will do that in a little bit so you can see everything here. If selected file exists, and only if, this is what this and logic means. If the selected file exists and only if exists. If exists, do this. If not, don't do anything. This is what this and logic means. So if it exists, render a div element with its class name. Inside this element, we will render. This is a JSX. So JSX, we can find some JavaScript with HTML and CSS together. We will render file icon function we created just above. Then just below we will have body 1. Inside body 1 we will have selected file.name. Then we will have a button. Inside this button we will have a button. It's a self-closed component inside which we will have icon. It's gonna be this 24 regular. Now we are styling this one. See, I want when I select to have something like this. This is when it's selected. Okay, this is when I select a file. This is what I want. If it's selected, I want to have this and this button just below. Icon appearance will be subtle. Then on click there will be an arrow function. So set selected file to null. Selected file to null. This is for this button, this one. When I click here, it's gonna remove everything. It's gonna remove the file from the application. That is why its name area label we will set remove file. Now here, if no file selected, and only if no file selected, then render a div. Inside this div, class name merge class. We imported this one. Styles, we haven't yet implemented styles. Once we do that, we will come back here. On drag enter, we will call handle drag enter function we created above. On drag over, we will call the function also we created, handle drag leave. On drag leave. On drag over, we should call handle drag enter. On click, then we will open curly brackets, and within there we will call a callback function. Then we will call an arrow function, which is file input reference the current element of the DOM. If it exists, then click. And here is the input element that input ref refers to. So this input has properties ref equal file input ref, then type equal file, then hidden also accept .pdf and .docs. Okay, then on change here it will calls here it's gonna call our handle file select function, where we will call our Azure function and AI builder handle file select, and we will pass as parameter the file target, then files, and of course it should be an arrow function. And just below we will, under that input element, we will add an arrow upload 24 regular, and we also imported that one. Under that input element we will insert a row component, a row upload 24 regular component, and it has class name. We haven't yet implemented the styles, but once we implement the style, everything is gonna be clear and beautiful. So let us just continue finishing this last lines and we will start styling. So subtitle 1, here I will type drag and drop your file here, then just enter that body or link browse upload, then another body here port PDF and Word document. Okay, and when we finish with all the cases, we will have a button. This button will have a text uploaded and summarized, and their property, it has size large, then appearance primary, then disabled will be disabled if there is no file selected, and on click we want to handle summarize. This is the function we created above. I will save this. Here is, okay, we need to add some styling. So the first thing to do is in our index CSS, we will add display flex. For root, we add display flex. Then justify content start, save this. Also in the body, background color will be hash F5 F5 flex 1 display flex and justify content center. Save this. Font family should be Apple system. Save this. Here WebKit font smoothing and grayscale. Great. That is for our index CSS. Now let us add styles to our summarize component. So you remember this function we called here, okay? Inside this function, we will have an object wrapper called wrapper. This object will have width. Inside this object, we will have some CSS, 100%. Then flex direction will be column, and alignment and align items will be center. Then spread this object shorthands gap 20 pixel. Save this. This wrap will be for our div. For success here, for success styles wrapper. Okay. For success, for error also styles wrapper. For idle 2 styles wrapper. If I save this, nothing. And with the same pattern, we will add the other element styles. We will add the rest of the styles. Here we will save this and we will style our first thing is render file icon. Here this document PDF will have styles file icon. This one also styles file icon. This for then in render here for this div where spinner will be styles processing container. For card we'll have styles card summary card. For preview class name styles summary content. For preview summary content. For error okay. For idle div where we render file will have styles file info, and if there is no file selected inside this merge class, we will have styles drop zone. Okay. Also we will have then a condition is drag active and only if it is active styles for drop zone active. Save this. Once we finish with our styling, we as you cannot see it here, maybe it's hard to see it, but when we just go to our main and here if you remember we added this fluent provider, we are going to set theme props for fluent provider to web light theme, and once we save this, look, that is awesome. So let me go to summarizer component and add the logic here to handle summarize. Inside this try and catch block, we will call a function const result. This is const result. This variable will store the response of a function, a sync function called API call, which is the function in which we will call our function, our Azure function, also our AI builder through Power Automate. So here we will pass the selected file to extract only text from convert PDF or Word, but this time we'll focus on PDF format. So Azure function will convert our maybe extract the text from the PDF and send it back to us. And we will, inside this API call, send the text to our AI builder through Power Automate. When AI builder extracts the summary, it will send it back to us. Then it will be displayed here. Let me just finish this logic. Selected file and set processing message. Processing message, as you know, will be this. Here, set processing message. Then set summary to result, and then set status. Okay? And now we are going to create this function API call. I will create API call function outside summarizer component. I will type API call equal async function. This is a synchronous function that takes two parameters, file of type file, and a function called on progress. Then inside will be message, then of type string. It takes a parameter called message of type string, and it is a void function of type void. Then it is an row function, so open curly brackets, and in there I'm going to type try and catch a block. This try and catch a block, the first part under try, I will verify the size for the file. The file size is greater than 10 multiplied by 1024, 1 kilobyte, multiplied by another 1 kilobyte, which means 1 megabyte, multiplied by 10 megabytes. So if it is greater than 10 megabytes, I want to throw an error, new error, file is too large. Please upload a file smaller than 10 megabytes. Once that's done, if it is not greater than 10 megabytes, there will be the extraction. Here I will be extract text from PDF using Azure Function, but I haven't yet implemented Azure Function, so we will leave its place here. Then I will have call Power Automate flow with extracted text. Okay, and here on progress I want to type extracting text from document, and here I want to type on progress extracting text, and here I want to show sending extracted text to Power Automate for summarization. Instead of Power Automate, I prefer type AI model for summarizing. Then just below, I will create const flow URL empty for now, then const request body open curly brackets, and in there we'll have extracted text. For now is only empty string. Under that we will call that URL with post method response const response await fetch, then the first parameter flow URL, second parameter and JavaScript object method will be post, then headers, an object content type is application JSON. Under that the body will be JSON stringify request body. We should stringify this so we can send it in the web. Okay, and when we should stringify this JavaScript object to a JSON object so we can send it through internet. After this, I will verify this variable response. We will store the response for the HTTP request post method. So if there is no response, or if the response is not okay, the status is not 200, means I will create a variable await function, response text, and just through an error, and in that error back text, and here flow execution failed, semicolon, dollar sign. This is how we can add JavaScript inside, add some logic inside strings. Inside string, we open backticks and we type as we would. And when we want to add some logic inside the string, we type dollar sign, then curly braces. In there, we type response, which is this variable, status, then dash the text, the error text, dollar sign, and here the error. Then on progress, then on progress, generating summary with AI builder. Okay, just under that const result, we will once the response succeeded, we will get back the response. So the text summarized. So const result await response JSON, then console.log here flow result. This to show us in the console that the call was successful. Okay, result. Now I want the summary. Extract the summary because it is successful. Result summary equal the result dot summary. Okay, if there is no summary, just a string no summary returned from Power Automate, then we will return that summary. If there is any error, we are going to create a variable called error message. Inside this variable, we are going to store an error, but we are going to verify if error instance, this error that comes from the API call instance of error, then error message. Else it's gonna be a string error. Then I will console it. Error is in API call. Second parameter error message. This one. And through the last step through error. Before testing, I want to implement Azure Function. But before implementing Azure Function, we need to create the function that will call Azure Function. So that function here in the source, a file, let us call it call Azure Function TypeScript. It is not a component. It is just a file of TypeScript. It's a function, but we are going to export it and call it in our summarizer. So here, export async function, okay, called extract text that will take a file as parameter, then of type file, of course, of type file, then open curly brackets. In there, we will have a variable const for the function URL, okay? For now, we don't know it. So when we implement Azure Function, we will come back to insert it here. The first thing I'm going to ensure that only PDF files are processed. Okay. Here, if the type file is not equal to string application PDF, so just console error. In that error, first parameter attempt to process a non-PDF file. The second parameter will be the file name, then the file type. Then I will throw a new error. Only PDF files can be processed. This is for the verification if it is a PDF or not. The second, I know you are asking yourself, we are implemented this for document, for Word and PDF, but in this tutorial I will focus only on PDF. But if you want later that we implement an application more sophisticated than this, just tell me in the comment. I will do that. And even if you want a more detailed application about that with which we can learn more about React and Vite in order for us as Power Platform developers to build a better Power Apps Code apps, just tell me that in the comment. I will proceed to that. So here I will call the Azure function with the PDF file. It's gonna be a post method, okay? So const, I expect a response. I will store it in this variable response. So it's a way to fetch function URL. So we are going to fetch this URL with method post. Then the second parameter JavaScript object in which method is post. Then headers, it's gonna be of course content type application PDF, and just enter that the body will be the file. The first thing to do after calling Azure function is to handle the error. Okay, so if there is an error, we will if response okay or not. If it is not okay, if response is not okay, are going to create a variable that contain the response text, and then through that error backticks because some logic inside string instruction failed, and then sign dollar curly brackets, then response status and dash another logic sign dollar curly brackets, then error text the variable we created above. If it is okay, so that means that text is returned. So I will create a variable called result, and from that response I want to extract the text. This is what we want. We want the text, the summary, then return. That is what we want. We want the text extracted from the PDF, return result. If not, just an empty string. So here we are going to call that function we have just created, extracted text equal await extract text file, and we should be imported. Save this await, then extract text file. This extracted text what we need in the body. But here I will console log. Just type log, then here will appear console log extracted text semicolon, second parameter the extract text. This extracted text will be in the flow body. Okay, so here I will send the extracted. Now let us jump into Azure function. And now let us implement our Azure function. For that, I'm going to open a new terminal here. Then I will go one step back. Now I am on my desktop. Now I will make a directory called PDF function. Then I will move to that folder. Inside this folder, I will open Visual Studio Code dot, then hit enter. This will open a new window of Visual Studio Code where we have PDF function folder inside. Okay, now I'm going to open a new terminal, and here I'm going to type func. So what is Azure function? Azure function is just like a server for the backend, and it exposes some API endpoints, and it runs only when you need. Azure function, you pay only for what you use. If you use your Azure function for let us say lambda times, you pay for that lambda time. If you haven't ever used your Azure function, you don't pay anything. It's called serverless, and it has a CLI func. This CLI, you can install it using npm and Node.js. If you install Node.js on your machine, then you type npm install -j Azure Function Tools and Azure Functions core tools for -- save -perm true. This is how you can install Azure Function command line interface on your machine. It's installed on mine, so what I will do is typing func. I will create the function now. Func init -- runtime node -- language JavaScript. Okay, and hit enter. This will initialize my Azure function here. And we have a JSON package, Azure Functions, and I need another package. As you can see, it has run npm install to install the packages that are inside package.json file. Just get installed. We have a package to extract text from PDF document. So that package called, I will type npm install PDF parse. We need this package to extract text from PDF document. Now, when it gets installed, I will clean this terminal, then I will run func new. This will create a function inside this folder. Then its name, I will name it extract text from PDF. Then -- template will be HTTP trigger, then -- auth level anonymous. We don't need authentication to call our Azure function. So I will hit enter and function initialized inside function folder. We have this local settings. This is so important, and we have host. This is the app call. When we call Azure function, we are calling this server. Okay, and here we are going to add property host. Okay, I will set it to this object, JSON object. Course will be all, then course credential will be false. This allows us to avoid, this helps us avoid any course issue. And what is course? Course stands for cross-origin resource sharing. It's a security feature in browsers that controls which websites are allowed to talk to your server. That is it. So origin combination of protocol plus domain plus port. By default, websites cannot make requests to a different origin. The browser blocks it. And because we are going to call Azure function, we don't, from our frontend, from the browser, we don't want the browser to block that call. Okay, so I will save this. Once this is saved, I will come here and start. Now I'm going to implement my Azure function. Okay, so inside the handler here, I don't need these lines. Inside the handler, I will console just to know that we have received the file. Okay, then I will check if the request method is post or get. If it is get, if the method equal to get, then I will just return a JSON status 200 headers content type headers content type application JSON. Then the body will be the message send a post request with a PDF file in the body to extract text. So if it is not get, that means it is post, because this endpoint accepts only two methods, get or post. So if it is not get, I will open try and catch block. Inside this try part, I will create a variable called const body buffer. Okay, what does this variable store? We are going to call buffer from await request dot array buffer. Then we are going to verify if the body buffer is empty or body buffer length equal 0. Then we return status 400, which means bad request. Body will be please pass the raw PDF file content in the request body. Okay, so if this checked and it's okay, the buffer is not empty, here that means that we have a data. So we are going to create a variable called data. Inside this variable we will store the result of PDF function, to which we pass the body buffer as parameter. We need to initialize this PDF function. So here const PDF equal require PDF parse. We continue. Then we return an object, JavaScript object, state user 200, header, an object, course content type, text blank. And the body, of course, we want to return the body. This is the most important because data text is what we are expecting, okay, to send it to AI Builder. If not, that means that the Azure function failed. So we are going to console that error during PDF processing semicolon, then the next variable will be, the next parameter will be the error. We catch it and we return JavaScript object status 200, then body will be error processing PDF file, and here plus error, the error message. So that is it. We have implemented our Azure function on local machine. I will save this, then I will start the function. So here I will type, let me clean this. Here func start. This will spin up my Azure function, just as I had a server on my backend. So I call that server, I will give it the file, PDF file. It will extract all the data, all the text inside that PDF file and send it back to me in text format. And here we go. The server tells me the function is running on this URL. So I'll copy this, then I will go back to my application and continue. And now here on my application, I will go to call Azure function here, and the URL just here, I will paste the URL I've just copied. Now I will save this. We can test now our application. But before we testing, I want to tell you that when we test this, we are just testing Azure function because if you remember, API call here is treating the extract text. This line will call Azure function, then get the extracted text. Okay, then we need the flow URL to send this text to AI Builder that will send back to us the summary of this text. Okay, that will send back to us the summary for this extracted text. Okay, so but before testing my app, there is something to add in app.text. As you can see, we need to add this title. This button should be in the middle. Great, so let us do that. So I will import make styles from Fluent UI React components. I'll also import shorthands, also tokens, and title 1. I will import document link 24 field from Fluent icon document, link 24 field. Then I will import, of course, summarize as it is imported already. Okay, so don't need, and summarizer is already imported. I will initialize my use styles function, make styles, and in there is make styles. I have just imported from Fluent UI React components. In there, there will be some CSS. So this is the CSS I'm going to use. You will find all of that on GitHub, and I will drop the link in the description. So here, this div will have a class name styles container, and I need to initialize styles just here inside my app component. Styles equal use style. Then there is a header element. Inside this header will be document link, document link 24 field, closed component. Just under that, we will have title 1 and AI document summarizer. The header has class name and it's gonna be styles header. I will save this and it's not dead. Okay, the app is not yet centered. Here I see that it is not inside the wrapper, the container, this drag zone. So when we go to summarizer file and we'll look to this wrapper, we will find that we have flex direction column, but we don't have display flex. I forgot that. So we will save this. We'll save this and everything is gonna center. We can also remark that this error message is not yet used. So we are going to error message element from Fluent UI. Just here, the error will be error message. I will save this. And now let us give our Azure function a test. There is browser. If we browse this and select a PDF, and here we go. If I upload and summarize, I should see on my Azure function, as you can see, succeeded, text, instruction, request, receive it, execution, succeeded. That is it. Great. And here we have an error. That is because we have not yet implemented Power Automate to run AI Builder, then send us back the summary. So that should be exactly inside API call. We send the PDF to Azure function to extract the text, but here when try to fetch the flow, the URL does not exist. So let us implement our flow now. Let us jump into Power Automate and start that flow that will summarize the text. Now here I am on Power Automate. I'm going to create a flow. I will call it summarizer flow. So here the trigger will be it's gonna be HTTP request. When an HTTP request received, I will set it here to anyone who can trigger the flow. Then from the payload, I will give it the payload. The request payload is gonna be extracted text and here some text. Then I will click on done here and it has generated the JSON schema. Okay, I will click on show all here and the method will be paused. Great. Now I will use compose action. Inside this compose action, I will insert the extracted text, just extract it, and I will call this extracted text. Right. Now I will run a prompt. I will click on new prompt here. This prompt text I will call this prompt text summarizer, and the prompt will be the following: analyze the following text and provide a summary in two distinct parts. The first part will be key takeaways, list the 5 most important findings or conclusions as bulleted list, Each bullet point should be a single clear sentence. Then the second part, action items. If any are mentioned, identify all explicit action items. Next steps or responsibilities. Present this as a separate bulleted list. If no action items are found, state no specific action items were identified. Then here I will add a content which will be a text. Will be here. I will name it extracted text. I will close this. Should be just now. I will save this. I don't need to test it because I'm sure it's gonna work. So I will save this text summarizer, and extracted text will be the extracted text just here, this one. Now we are going to call back our application. Okay, we'll send back the response. So here HTTP response, we need the response. Yes, 200. The body should be JSON format, and here will be summary. Then inside here will be the text generated by the prompt. This is what expect API calls. Okay, the function we implemented in the front end. If you remember, here's how. Because here we need to have a summary as property in the response. Okay, now I will save my flow. Once it's saved, it will generate a URL for me. I will copy this URL and I will go back to the application and start using this flow and test the app. Now in this flow URL, I will paste this URL just here and save summarizer file. Now let us test this. I will bring a file and click on upload and summarize. Extracting, sending extracted text to a model, and boom, here we go. We have our document summarized. Part 1 key takeaways. We have the master service agreement is effective from between and etc. If I click to summarize another document, it will reset everything to null and we can start over again. Let us give it another try by dragging and dropping, and here, boom, I will click here and this is gonna extract sending extracted text to Power Automate for summarizing. Boom, and here we go. I will connect to my Azure account to publish my Azure function. So here I will use Azure CLI, Azure login. This is to log in to your Azure account if you have one. As you can see, I have logged in. Now I should create a source group. Now I will create a resource group for my function. Azure group create dash dash name func resource group dash dash location West Europe. My resource group created. Now I should copy this name and create now storage account. I will create an Azure. Now I will create storage account for my Azure function. Azure storage account create, property name will be storage func 825 25 dash dash location West Europe, then dash dash resource group, the group I have just created, func resource group, then dash dash skew standard LRS and I will hit enter. This will create an Azure account, a storage account for my Azure function. Now I will create a function app for my Azure function, Azure function app create, then the resource group, my resource group, and consumption plan, location property West Europe, name, I will give it name function, func app A082525, storage account will be storage func 082525. We have just created this one. I will give it also a property runtime node, then runtime version will be 20, then functions version will be 4, then I will hit enter. And this will create a function app for my Azure function. As my function app has been created, now I will publish my function. So here I will use func, but now not start, but Azure. Okay, function app publish, then the name of my function app. I renamed it func app 082525. This should publish my Azure function to the cloud. And look at this. The publish is starting. Great. Here is my URL function. I will copy this and go back to the application, then build it, then publish it to Power Platform environment and start using my application. I'll copy this, then I will open my application. In my application, I will go to call Azure function here. Then I will replace this localhost URL with the right URL, and I will save this. Then I will build my application, then publish it to Power Apps, to Power Platform environment, and start using it. I can add some images here. Okay, so let us build now our application. Now, before publishing the application, I should build it. So here I will run npm run build. This will build the application. Then we can publish it to Power Platform environment. Okay, great. Now the build has been finished. Once the building for production is finished, I can publish it to Power Platform environment as long as I have this dist here. So let me clear this, then I will run back code push. Now this should push my application to the environment on which I have initialized it. So saving the app, then it will publish. Perfect. The app has been successfully published. Now I can look at that. I will open my applications on Power Apps and find that application on Power Platform, and this environment on which I have I have already initialized the application. I find it here 1 minute ago. If I run this application, and now my application is live on my Power Platform. I hope you found that so useful. Thank you so much, and see you next time.